Long before Hogwarts became the towering beacon of magical learning, it began with 4 witches and wizards whose names still echo through every stone of its halls: Godric Gryffindor, Salazar Slytherin, Helga Hufflepuff, and Rowena Ravenclaw. Rowena was known far and wide as a witch of unmatched intelligence, her mind quick as lightning and her ideas filled with originality. When the 4 founders decided to create a school where magical children could be taught safely, Rowena's brilliance shaped much of its design. Some legends say that it was her vision that gave Hogwarts its shifting staircases, its enchanted ceilings, and its endless secrets tucked into corners. Her house, Ravenclaw, was built around her belief that wit and wisdom were treasures worth nurturing. Unlike Gryffindor's boldness or Slytherin's ambition, Rowena valued those who could think deeply, solve puzzles, and imagine new ways of seeing the world. To this day, when a child is sorted into Ravenclaw, it is Rowena's influence that they inherit a legacy of cleverness and curiosity that began the very moment the school itself was founded. Ravenclaw House is often described as the place for the clever, but its true values reach deeper than simple intelligence. Wit, for Rowena, meant not only quick thinking but also the ability to see connections others missed, to respond with humor, or to think outside rigid traditions. Wisdom was about more than knowledge from books. It was the lived understanding of how the world works, how choices ripple outward, and how to act with balance. Creativity was perhaps the most essential value of all. Ravenclaws were encouraged to experiment, to imagine new charms, to approach a problem sideways rather than head-on. These 3 traits together created a culture that produced some of the most innovative and eccentric witches and wizards in history. When you think of Ravenclaw, picture a student with a quill in one hand, staring out a window, dreaming of how to enchant a shoelace to dance, or calculating how to charm rain into music. Intelligence in Ravenclaw is never cold or rigid. It is alive, flexible, and dazzling with originality, carrying forward the true spirit of Rowena herself. High up in one of Hogwarts' towers lies the Ravenclaw Common Room, perched so high above the grounds that it feels as though it belongs to the sky itself. Unlike the cozy warmth of Gryffindor's den or the shadowed comfort of Slytherin's dungeon, the Ravenclaw Common Room is filled with light and air. Wide, arched windows look out over the mountains and the lake, and on clear nights the stars seem close enough to touch. Inside, the room is circular, lined with blue hangings and shelves of books that students bring and share. There is a sense of serenity, almost like a library crossed with an observatory. Students describe it as a place where thoughts can expand, where the view itself invites contemplation. The very location reflects Ravenclaw values: to look beyond what is immediately visible, to rise above the ordinary, and to see the world from a different perspective. It is a room that whispers not of competition or comfort but of possibility, and many who have studied there remember it as a place where their most creative ideas first took root. Perhaps the most famous feature of Ravenclaw House is its unusual entrance. While other houses rely on passwords or hidden doors, the entrance to the Ravenclaw Common Room is guarded by a door knocker shaped like an eagle that asks a riddle. To enter, a student must solve it correctly. This tradition serves more than security, it is a daily lesson. For Ravenclaws, access to their home requires wit, reasoning, or at least the courage to attempt an answer. Sometimes the riddles are straightforward, requiring sharp logic. Other times, they are more abstract, testing creativity. Students who cannot answer must wait until someone else arrives, encouraging both patience and communal thought. Over time, this practice shapes a Ravenclaw's mind, reminding them that life itself often poses riddles, and that answers come not from brute force, but from quiet thought. The riddle door reflects the essence of Ravenclaw, that challenges are opportunities to learn, and that wisdom opens doors no password could. Ravenclaw's colors, blue and bronze, are rich with symbolism. Blue represents the vastness of the sky and the depth of the sea, embodying both imagination and wisdom. It is the color of thought, reflection, and serenity. Bronze, though less obvious than gold or silver, carries its own meaning. Strength that does not tarnish easily, practicality balanced with beauty. Together, blue and bronze suggest the balance between lofty ideas and grounded strength. They are not colors of flashiness, but of quiet dignity. When Ravenclaw students wear their robes, trimmed in these hues, they carry with them a reminder of their house's ideals. Every glance at the deep blue or warm bronze is an invitation to look inward, to rise higher, and to think deeper. These colors are not just decoration, they are a visual meditation, chosen to reflect the values of Rowena's house. The eagle, symbol of Ravenclaw House, soars above all others with sharp eyes and wide wings. Unlike the owl, a common symbol of wisdom, the eagle represents vision and perspective. It does not merely see what is close, but surveys the entire landscape from great heights. For Ravenclaws, the eagle is a reminder to rise above ordinary limits, to look at problems from new angles, and to value freedom of thought. Its wings suggest both ambition and exploration, encouraging students to soar beyond what is known. The eagle is not bound by the ground, it belongs to the sky, just as Ravenclaws belong to the realm of ideas. Every student who wears the house crest carries this symbol of keen sight and daring imagination, a reminder that true wisdom comes not from staying earthbound, but from daring to fly higher. Ravenclaw students are often described as clever, but their defining traits are far more nuanced. Curiosity drives them to ask questions others overlook. Where a Gryffindor might leap into action, a Ravenclaw pauses to wonder, why does this happen? How can it be changed? What lies beneath the surface? Individuality is another hallmark. Ravenclaws rarely conform simply to fit in. Instead, they dress, speak, or act in ways that reflect their own unique vision. Brilliance ties these qualities together. Not brilliance measured only in grades, but in flashes of creativity, in unusual ideas, in the ability to weave connections between seemingly unrelated things. This combination of curiosity, individuality, and brilliance creates a house filled with inventors, artists, philosophers, and dreamers. Sometimes they are misunderstood as eccentric, but their strangeness is simply the natural result of minds that wander freely, unafraid to explore paths others ignore. When the Sorting Hat sings of Ravenclaw, it speaks of wit and learning, of sharp minds and keen spirits. Yet hidden in its words is also the promise of creativity, of students who look at the world in unusual ways. The hat does not sort Ravenclaws simply for book smarts, otherwise Hermione Granger would surely have been placed there. Instead, it looks for a deeper quality, the desire to understand, to explore, to see what lies beyond the obvious. Ravenclaws are not simply the top students in a class. They are those who delight in the act of thinking itself. The Sorting Hat recognizes in them a spark of Rowena's spirit, a hunger for knowledge, and a joy in using it. Its song reminds the school year after year that Ravenclaws are not just intelligent but imaginative, their brilliance as much about wonder as about answers. Ravenclaw's relationship with the other houses has always been complex. With Gryffindor, there is mutual respect, as both value courage in their own ways, though Ravenclaws often find Gryffindors reckless. With Hufflepuff, the rivalry is gentler, sometimes overlooked, yet Ravenclaws may quietly dismiss Hufflepuffs as too simple or too focused on loyalty rather than intellect. With Slytherin, the rivalry runs deeper. Both houses value ambition, but Ravenclaws see Slytherins as manipulative, while Slytherins may dismiss Ravenclaws as impractical dreamers. Yet despite these rivalries, Ravenclaws often rise above petty conflict, choosing instead to engage in debates or to prove themselves through cleverness. They may not boast the loudest victories on the Quidditch pitch or in duels, but they quietly pride themselves on achievements of the mind, believing their house stands apart in ways that rivalries cannot diminish. In the broader wizarding world, Ravenclaws are often admired as thinkers, scholars, and inventors. Their reputation is that of the odd but brilliant neighbor, the eccentric professor, the quiet innovator whose ideas shape magical society. To be a Ravenclaw is to carry the expectation of cleverness, sometimes even a touch of aloofness. Yet this reputation also inspires respect. Many of the greatest discoveries in magic, from charms to magical theory, have come from Ravenclaws. Employers and colleagues expect Ravenclaws to be original, sometimes unconventional, but always thoughtful. To the wider world, Ravenclaw House represents not only intelligence but imagination, and those who carry its name are seen as keepers of knowledge and seekers of the new. Their reputation is not about being the loudest heroes or the most cunning leaders, but about being the thinkers whose ideas shape the future. Rowena Ravenclaw's story stretches beyond the walls of Hogwarts, touching legend as much as history. She was born into a time when magical society was still fragile, when witches and wizards lived in scattered pockets, keeping their gifts hidden. From the start, she was renowned for her intelligence. Some stories claim that even as a child she could cast spells others struggled with for years. Others say her true gift was invention, the ability to combine existing magic into something new. She envisioned not just spells but places, structures, and ideas that could shape lives. This is why, when the founders dreamed of building a school, it was Rowena who supplied not only wisdom, but also design. The shifting staircases, the enchanted ceilings, the secret corridors, many believe these flourished first in her imagination before they became reality. Her legacy is carved into stone and spell alike, and every student who climbs the stairs of Hogwarts carries a piece of her vision underfoot. Rowena's brilliance was not only in architecture but in values. She held that the mind was the greatest tool a witch or wizard could cultivate. She did not demand bravery, as Godric Gryffindor did, nor loyalty, as Helga Hufflepuff did, nor ambition, as Salazar Slytherin did. Instead, she sought to nurture curiosity. She believed that learning was both shield and weapon, that understanding the world was the surest path to power. Her values created a house where students were not bound by conformity but freed by imagination. The Ravenclaw spirit, even centuries later, reflects this. To think for oneself, to imagine what might be, to seek answers beyond the obvious, these are Rowena's gifts. One of the most enduring pieces of Rowena's legacy is her diadem. Unlike an ordinary crown, this piece of jewelry was enchanted with powerful charms meant to enhance the wisdom of the wearer. It was said that those who placed it upon their brow found their minds clearer, their ideas sharper, their creativity boundless. The diadem symbolized her belief that wisdom could always be expanded, that even the brightest mind had room to grow. For generations, it was treasured as an heirloom of her house, more valuable than gold, more powerful than any relic of battle. It was not meant for domination, but for enlightenment. Students and professors alike revered it, though few ever touched it. Its loss centuries later would mark one of the greatest tragedies of Ravenclaw history. The theft of the diadem came from within her own family. Helena Ravenclaw, Rowena's only daughter, longed to step out of her mother's shadow. Though she inherited her mother's brilliance, she struggled against the weight of being the child of a legend. Some tales say Helena envied her mother's fame, others that she simply wanted to be free. Whatever her motive, she stole the diadem, believing that if she wore it, she too could become great. She fled with it, vanishing into distant lands, leaving Rowena both heartbroken and shamed. The betrayal was not only the loss of the artifact, but the wound of a daughter's rejection. Rowena, who had given so much to the wizarding world, could not stop her own child from slipping away. The story grows darker still. Stricken with grief, Rowena grew ill. Some accounts suggest her sickness was physical, others that it was a sorrow too deep for even her great mind to heal. She wished to see Helena one final time and sent a trusted man to find her daughter. This man was the Bloody Baron, who loved Helena with a fierce, desperate passion. When he found her, he begged her to return, but she refused. In rage and heartbreak, he killed her, then himself. Thus both became ghosts, Helena returning as the Grey Lady of Ravenclaw Tower, and the Baron haunting the halls drenched in spectral blood. Rowena never saw her daughter again, dying with the pain of betrayal still heavy upon her heart. The Grey Lady remains one of the most mysterious figures in Hogwarts. She glides silently through the tower, watching students with distant eyes. Most do not know her story, seeing only a melancholy ghost. But for those who listen, she tells of her theft, of her mother's brilliance, of the diadem that was lost. To confide in her is to glimpse not only the tragedy of one family, but the fragility of greatness itself. For all Rowena's wisdom, for all her inventions, she could not escape human sorrow. Helena embodies that reminder, her quiet presence in the tower a shadow of unfinished reconciliation. Despite this tragedy, Rowena's relationship with the other founders remained central to Hogwarts' survival. With Gryffindor, she shared mutual respect, admiring his boldness even when it clashed with her careful thought. With Helga, she found harmony, for both valued fairness, though in different ways. With Salazar, matters were more fraught. Rowena's love of knowledge did not align with his obsession with blood purity. She valued wisdom wherever it appeared, whether in Muggle-borns or pure-bloods. Their disagreements foreshadowed the eventual rift that tore the founders apart, and though Rowena remained at Hogwarts, her friendship with Salazar fractured. In this, she showed that wisdom is not passive, but principled. She could admire talent, but never condone cruelty. Legends about Rowena grew after her death, transforming her from a historical figure into a near-mythic one. Some stories claim she carried a wand tipped with sapphire, its spells glittering like stars. Others say her eyes saw into the future, glimpsing possibilities that shaped her decisions. In the Scottish Highlands, folk tales persist about a woman in blue who wandered the hills, planting seeds of learning wherever she walked. Whether these tales are truth or embroidery, they reveal how deeply she became woven into magical culture. To many, she was not merely a founder, but a symbol, the embodiment of wisdom itself. Even centuries after her passing, Rowena's influence can be felt in the culture of her house. Ravenclaw Tower, perched high above the castle, reflects her vision of rising above, of seeking views that others overlook. The riddled door knocker embodies her teaching that wit is not only useful but necessary. The values she instilled, creativity, intelligence, curiosity, shape not only students but the entire school. Whenever a Ravenclaw solves a problem with a flash of imagination, whenever they dream of new inventions or seek to understand the world more deeply, they walk in Rowena's shadow. She may have died of heartbreak, but her ideas live, immortal, in stone and spell. Her reputation in magical history is unshakable. Scholars cite her as one of the greatest minds of her age, a witch whose contributions extended far beyond Hogwarts. Some even say that her spells and enchantments still lie undiscovered in the castle, waiting for a clever enough mind to reveal them. Her diadem, though corrupted by dark magic centuries later, remains a testament to her brilliance, a symbol of wisdom, lost and then twisted, but never forgotten. For many, Rowena is a reminder of both the heights and fragility of genius. She was brilliant, visionary, and deeply human, capable of creating marvels yet vulnerable to sorrow. Her legacy continues not only in the facts of her life but in the way she continues to inspire wonder. The Ravenclaw Common Room is one of the most enchanting spaces in all of Hogwarts. Perched at the top of a tower, it feels as though it belongs more to the sky than to the earth. Wide, arched windows line the walls, offering sweeping views of mountains, forest, and the glimmering lake far below. On stormy nights, lightning flashes across the horizon, painting the room in silver light, while on clear evenings, the stars shine so brightly they feel almost within reach. Inside, the room is circular, airy, and serene, decorated in hues of blue and bronze, with silk drapes and delicate chairs that invite quiet thought. Bookshelves, filled with centuries of magical texts, line the walls, many donated by Ravenclaws who came before. The atmosphere encourages study but also imagination, as though every corner hums with possibility. It is a place of calm, of curiosity, a sanctuary for those who love to think and dream. Looking out from Ravenclaw Tower, the view itself seems designed to stir the mind. To the east, the mountains rise, mist clinging to their peaks, whispering of mysteries hidden in their folds. To the west, the Black Lake stretches wide and deep, its surface changing from silver to black as the skies shift above it. Below, the Quidditch pitch and sprawling grounds look smaller from such heights, as if reminding students that the dramas of daily life are but small pieces in a vast, complex world. This perspective is part of Ravenclaw's gift. Where others may see only the immediate, Ravenclaws are encouraged to lift their eyes, to look further, to imagine possibilities beyond the present moment. The view is more than scenery, it is inspiration, quietly shaping the minds of those who study beneath its sky. The room itself is filled with symbols of learning. Tapestries embroidered with constellations shimmer faintly in candlelight, while statues of eagles spread their wings above doorways. The hearth in the center is often surrounded by clusters of students, deep in discussion, their voices low, words winding between theories and debates. Every chair and desk seems placed for both comfort and contemplation. The common room does not demand silence, but it nurtures thought, as if the walls themselves respect the minds at work within them. Over centuries, it has become a place where countless essays were written, countless ideas born, and countless dreams of invention took shape. To enter the common room is to step into a tradition of learning that stretches back to Rowena herself. One of the most striking traditions is the enchanted ceiling of the dormitories. Like the ceiling of the Great Hall, it reflects the sky outside, filling the rooms with a sense of openness, even at night. Students drifting to sleep under Ravenclaw's roof do so with stars shining above them, or with clouds rolling past, or with dawn's first light brushing the sky. This magical ceiling serves as a reminder that the world is vast and ever-changing, that learning is endless, that inspiration can be found even in the heavens. Many Ravenclaws remember it as one of the most comforting parts of their childhood, the night sky becoming a lullaby that carried them into dreams filled with wonder. Ravenclaw culture also celebrates creativity in ways other houses might overlook. Music and art are not hobbies here but valued expressions of intellect. A Ravenclaw who composes songs or paints portraits is seen as embodying the same cleverness as one who excels in charms or arithmancy. Ideas take many forms, and the house embraces them all. This is why Ravenclaws are sometimes considered eccentric, because they give space to every kind of thought, from the practical to the whimsical. A student wearing butterbeer corks as jewelry, or experimenting with charms to make quills dance, might be met with laughter in other houses, but in Ravenclaw, such quirks are signs of imagination, evidence of a mind that dares to wander. Central to daily life is the tradition of riddles at the door. To enter the common room, a student must answer the question posed by the eagle-shaped knocker. These riddles change each time, ranging from logical puzzles to philosophical questions that invite multiple answers. Sometimes the solution is straightforward, sometimes it requires leaps of creativity. This practice not only sharpens the mind but humbles it. Even the brightest Ravenclaw can be stumped, forced to wait until another passes by. In this way, the door teaches both wit and patience, reminding students that knowledge is not a possession, but a practice, always in motion. The very entrance to their home insists that they remain curious and open-minded. The atmosphere among Ravenclaw students reflects this mixture of brilliance and individuality. Conversations often spiral into debates about magical theory, history, or abstract philosophy. Students share ideas with eagerness, though sometimes their pride leads to rivalry. Unlike Gryffindor, where camaraderie is built on boldness, or Hufflepuff, where loyalty is central, Ravenclaws often bond over ideas. Friendships here can be unconventional, built not on shared hobbies or backgrounds, but on shared fascinations, sometimes so intense that arguments erupt with the same passion as laughter. Yet despite these clashes, there is respect. Ravenclaws know that every mind has value, even if it expresses itself in unusual ways. The house is often associated with eccentricity, and for good reason. Some Ravenclaws grow into famously odd witches and wizards, remembered for peculiar habits or unconventional beliefs. But within the house, this strangeness is rarely mocked. Instead, it is seen as evidence of independence, a refusal to bow to ordinary expectations. A Ravenclaw who daydreams aloud, who fills notebooks with wild sketches, who experiments with charms, others dismiss as silly. Such a person belongs exactly where they are. Their eccentricity is a kind of courage, the bravery to follow thought wherever it leads, regardless of whether others understand. This tolerance of strangeness makes Ravenclaw a haven for misfits whose brilliance might otherwise be overlooked. Items unique to Ravenclaw Tower carry their own stories. Ancient tomes line the shelves, many handwritten by long-dead students who left behind their thoughts for future generations. Magical artifacts gifted by alumni are scattered through the common room, quills that write in verse, hourglasses that sing when turned, mirrors that reflect not one's face but one's aspirations. These treasures remind current students that they are part of a long chain, inheritors of both wisdom and whimsy. The tower itself becomes not just a home but a museum of creativity, its every corner humming with history and invention. Above all, Ravenclaw emphasizes free thought. Unlike houses where traditions or rules dominate, Ravenclaw encourages students to think independently. Teachers may guide them, books may instruct them, but ultimately, each Ravenclaw is urged to form their own perspective. This culture fosters innovation but also disagreement, for Ravenclaws are not afraid to challenge authority or question accepted truths. To some, this makes them seem aloof or contrarian, but to those who understand, it is simply the heart of the house. The belief that true wisdom comes not from following others, but from daring to think one's own thoughts. In this way, the house continues to produce not just clever students, but original minds who shape the wizarding world. Famous Ravenclaws are scattered across wizarding history like bright stars across the night sky, each one embodying the house's values in a different way. Some were scholars, others inventors, others artists, but all carried the mark of wit, wisdom, and imagination. To tell their stories is to understand the many shapes intelligence can take. Ravenclaws are not bound to a single path. Their legacy stretches from magical law to poetry, from dueling to healing. When you look closely, you find that much of the wizarding world's progress has Ravenclaw hands behind it, guiding gently but profoundly. Among the earliest celebrated Ravenclaws were inventors, witches and wizards who dared to create new spells and devices. One name often cited in magical history is Perpetua Fancourt, who became an expert in the field of magical astronomy. She is credited with developing telescopes that revealed not only the movements of planets but also the flow of magical energy through the heavens. Her discoveries linked astrology to magical power in ways still taught at Hogwarts today. For her, the stars were not just distant lights, but living patterns that whispered secrets. She embodied Ravenclaw's love of curiosity, blending science and magic into something wondrous. Ravenclaws have also shaped magical law. One of the most influential was Laverne de Montmorency, a Ravenclaw who became a legal scholar in the 15th century. She dedicated her life to balancing magical justice with compassion, arguing that punishment should teach rather than destroy. Her writings influenced early Wizengamot practices, ensuring that laws considered not only power but fairness. Though she lived in a time when fear often guided judgment, her calm reasoning helped shape a system that valued thoughtful debate over rash action. Generations of Ravenclaw lawyers and lawmakers followed in her footsteps, carrying her belief that wisdom must be applied not only to spells but to justice itself. In the world of art and literature, Ravenclaws also left their mark. Miranda Goshawk, author of the Standard Book of Spells series, was a Ravenclaw whose clear explanations helped countless students master charms. Her work became the foundation of magical education, revised and reissued over centuries, each volume a testament to her clarity and precision. For Miranda, writing was an act of generosity, a way to share knowledge so that all might grow. Her books live on every Hogwarts shelf, a quiet but enduring reminder of how Ravenclaw creativity shapes learning. Other Ravenclaws became poets, musicians, and painters, their works treasured not only for beauty but for the insight they carried. To be a Ravenclaw artist is to see the world differently, to capture ideas in forms that inspire generations. Dueling, too, has seen its share of Ravenclaw brilliance. Though not always remembered as warriors, some Ravenclaws became masters of magical combat, their cleverness giving them the edge in battle. Famous among them was Yardley Platt, though remembered with darker infamy for his crimes as a serial goblin killer. Yet even in this, Ravenclaw traits showed the cunning, the strategic mind, though twisted toward cruelty. In contrast, more honorable duelists like Ethelred the Ever-Ready became champions in wizarding contests, winning not through brute force but through clever feints and unexpected spells. Ravenclaws in dueling prove that wit can win where strength falters, their brilliance turning combat into a contest of imagination as much as power. Seers and visionaries also walked among Ravenclaw's alumni. Though divination is often dismissed as imprecise, Ravenclaws who practiced it sought patterns others ignored. Famous among them was Cassandra Vablatsky, author of Unfogging the Future. Though eccentric, she combined wit and creativity with her visions, creating guides that helped generations of students approach divination with seriousness. For Ravenclaws, even prophecy was not simply mystical. It was a puzzle to be explored, a map of possibility to be interpreted with care. This mixture of insight and imagination reflected the heart of their house. At the Ministry of Magic, Ravenclaws often found roles as advisors and thinkers. They were less likely to pursue raw political power than Slytherins, but their ideas shaped policies for centuries. Wizards, like Carlotta Pinkstone, who campaigned passionately for Muggle rights and greater openness, embodied Ravenclaw's independence of thought. She was mocked, fined, and sometimes silenced, yet she never wavered, convinced that wisdom lay in building bridges rather than walls. Her eccentricity made her controversial, but her ideas planted seeds of change that grew long after her time. In her, we see Ravenclaw's ability to challenge convention, to imagine futures others fear. The field of magical healing also bears Ravenclaw marks. Famous healers like Nemone Radford, who invented memory modification spells, pushed the boundaries of magic to aid others. Though the ethics of obliviation are complex, her work reflected deep understanding of both magic and mind. Other Ravenclaw healers developed charms for regeneration, antidotes for rare poisons, and practices that saved countless lives. Their approach was not only to heal but to understand, to question how magic and body intertwined. In every hospital wing and street mungo's ward, traces of their ingenuity remain. Education itself has been deeply influenced by Ravenclaws. Many Hogwarts professors hailed from this house, their brilliance shaping the curriculum. Phileas Flitwick, beloved charms master, carried centuries of Ravenclaw tradition in every lesson. He taught not only spells but delight in discovery, showing students that magic was as much about creativity as precision. Others, long before him, established courses in arithmancy, astronomy, and ancient runes. Their legacy is not only in their discoveries, but in the generations they inspired. To teach is a deeply Ravenclaw act, passing knowledge onward, sparking curiosity in others, ensuring wisdom never fades. In times of war, Ravenclaws fought as bravely as any house, though often with less recognition. During both wizarding wars, Ravenclaws stood among the resistance, their cleverness crucial to strategy and survival. Some became spies, weaving deception with intellect. Others devised protective charms and hidden safe houses. Luna Lovegood, eccentric yet courageous, carried forward this tradition, her open mind making her a vital ally. Ravenclaws may not always be remembered as the loudest fighters, but their contributions are woven into every victory, quiet yet essential. Altogether, The stories of famous Ravenclaws reveal the house's breadth. They are inventors gazing at stars, lawyers shaping justice, artists writing books that teach for centuries. They are duelists, visionaries, reformers, healers, teachers, and warriors. Some strayed into darkness, proving that intelligence alone does not guarantee virtue. Others burned brightly with kindness and imagination. But all show the central truth. Ravenclaw does not shape one kind of witch or wizard. It shapes minds that dare to think differently, to question, to create. In their variety, we see the house's greatest strength, a chorus of brilliance that continues to echo across wizarding history. When you think of Ravenclaw in the Harry Potter series, certain names rise to the surface: characters who embody, in different ways, the house's values of wit, wisdom, and imagination. They are not always central to the story, but each one contributes a unique perspective, a glimpse into the house that prizes individuality. Some display the brilliance and eccentricity that Ravenclaw is famous for, while others remind us that cleverness can sometimes blur into arrogance. Together, these characters bring the house to life within the narrative, showing both its light and shadow. Perhaps the most iconic Ravenclaw in the series is Luna Lovegood. Introduced in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, she quickly became one of the most beloved characters in the saga. Luna is the embodiment of Ravenclaw eccentricity, dreamy, imaginative, and utterly unafraid to be herself. She believes in creatures others mock, wears radish earrings and butterbeer cork necklaces, and sees the world with wonder others overlook. Yet beneath her oddness lies profound wisdom. She comforts Harry in his grief for Sirius with words that strike truer than anything else he hears. She fights bravely in the Department of Mysteries and later at the Battle of Hogwarts. Her calmness, a steady flame amid chaos. Luna shows that Ravenclaw intelligence is not always about books or grades, but about perceiving truths hidden to others. She is creativity, compassion, and courage woven into one unforgettable figure. Chang represents another side of Ravenclaw. She is intelligent and talented, a skilled seeker for the Ravenclaw Quidditch team, admired for both beauty and grace. Her story, however, is marked by tragedy. The death of Cedric Diggory leaves her grief-stricken, and her relationship with Harry becomes strained under the weight of loss and mistrust. Some readers see her as indecisive or fragile, but in truth, Cho represents the emotional complexity of adolescence. She shows that Ravenclaws, for all their wit, are still human, vulnerable to heartache and confusion. Her struggles highlight that intelligence does not shield one from sorrow. Cho may not embody Ravenclaw eccentricity, but she reflects its emotional depth, the reminder that clever minds also carry tender hearts. Terry Boot, though mentioned only briefly, is another example of Ravenclaw presence in the story. He is introduced as a member of Dumbledore's army, eager to learn defensive spells under Harry's guidance. His willingness to join the resistance speaks to Ravenclaw bravery, not the roaring kind of Gryffindor, but the thoughtful courage of someone who chooses the right side despite risk. Terry represents the countless Ravenclaws who, though not spotlighted, contributed to the fight against Voldemort. Their cleverness and dedication helped build a movement strong enough to challenge the darkness. Padma Patil, twin sister of Gryffindor's Parvati Patil, provides an interesting contrast between houses. Sorted into Ravenclaw, she is often portrayed as more serious and thoughtful than her sister. She attends the Yule Ball with Ron, though the knight leaves her disappointed at his inattentiveness. Later, Padma too joins Dumbledore's army, standing with her peers and learning defensive magic. Though she remains a background character, Padma embodies Ravenclaw diligence. Her presence shows that not every Ravenclaw is eccentric like Luna. Some are steady, committed, and quietly determined. She represents the balance of the house, its mix of dreamers and doers. Michael Corner offers another glimpse into Ravenclaw student life. He begins as Ginny Weasley's boyfriend, joining Dumbledore's army alongside her. Their eventual breakup reveals his competitiveness, especially in Quidditch matches. Michael's character may not be central, but his story illustrates how Ravenclaw wit can sometimes slip into pride. He is clever and capable but struggles with losing gracefully, showing that even Ravenclaws must learn to temper intellect with humility. His role in Dumbledore's army, however, proves his courage and loyalty, reminding us that Ravenclaws, like other houses, were vital to the resistance. Roger Davies is known primarily as Ravenclaw's Quidditch captain during Harry's 4th year. He attends the Yule Ball with Fleur Delacour, starry-eyed and smitten. Though his role is small, he adds color to Ravenclaw's presence in school life, showing that the house produced not only scholars but also athletes. Quidditch was a point of pride for Ravenclaws, and captains like Davies carried their team's spirit into competition against Gryffindor and Slytherin rivals. His character, though comic in his love-struck moments, reminds us that Ravenclaws are as multifaceted as students in any other house. Penelope Clearwater, a prefect and Percy Weasley's girlfriend, gives us a glimpse of Ravenclaw responsibility. She is intelligent, ambitious, and serious about her duties. When she is petrified by the basilisk in Chamber of Secrets, her fate underscores the danger Hogwarts faced that year. Penelope reflects the classic Ravenclaw image: hardworking, academically focused, and quietly ambitious. Her relationship with Percy, a rule-abiding Gryffindor, highlights the way Ravenclaws often connect with those who share their sense of duty and diligence. Though she does not have a large role, Penelope embodies the balance of intellect and responsibility that defines her house. Another memorable Ravenclaw is Moaning Myrtle. Though her story is steeped in tragedy, killed by the basilisk during Tom Riddle's time at Hogwarts, she lingers as a ghost haunting the girls' bathroom. Myrtle's personality is marked by insecurity and bitterness, her afterlife defined by loneliness. Yet even she reflects Ravenclaw traits. She was clever in life, though mocked by her peers, and her ghostly presence eventually helps Harry discover the truth about the Chamber of Secrets. Myrtle shows that Ravenclaws, like all, can suffer from cruelty, and that brilliance is not always recognized in life. Her fate is a cautionary tale, a reminder of the importance of kindness within houses and between them. The Grey Lady, Helena Ravenclaw, is perhaps the most significant Ravenclaw figure tied to the series' climax. As the daughter of Rowena Ravenclaw, she carries the burden of her house's greatest tragedy, the theft of the diadem. Her ghostly presence in the tower is often quiet, but when Harry seeks her out, she reveals the truth of her crime and the diadem's fate. This knowledge becomes crucial in the final battle, allowing Harry to locate and destroy one of Voldemort's Horcruxes. Helena embodies both the brilliance and flaws of Ravenclaw, clever but prideful, independent but haunted by regret. In her, we see the complexity of intelligence, its power to create, but also its danger when twisted by envy. Her redemption, in helping Harry, restores some measure of peace to her troubled legacy. Together, these Ravenclaw characters weave a tapestry of their house within the series. Luna shows the beauty of eccentricity, Cho the weight of emotion, Helena the price of pride, Myrtle the pain of mockery, Penelope the diligence of responsibility, and others the many shades in between. Ravenclaw's and Harry's story are not monolithic. They are athletes, lovers, fighters, ghosts, and dreamers. Their presence reminds us that Ravenclaw's values manifest in many forms, from whimsical creativity to quiet scholarship to haunting regret. In every case, the thread of intellect, of thoughtfulness, runs through them. It is this variety that gives the house depth, making Ravenclaw more than just a stereotype of clever students. It is a living, breathing community, reflected in the lives of those who wore its colors. The symbols of Ravenclaw House carry meanings that reach deeper than surface design, each one chosen to reflect the values Rowena herself held dear. The eagle, soaring high above the earth, is the most obvious of these. Many people mistakenly think the Ravenclaw mascot is a raven, but this is not the case. The eagle was chosen to symbolize elevation of the mind, the way thought can rise beyond limitations and glimpse truths from above. The eagle is not bound by the ground. It sees vast distances others cannot. In the same way, Ravenclaws are encouraged to lift their eyes, to see connections others miss, to think beyond the present. The bird's freedom and sharp vision mirror the house's embrace of independence and intellect. Every time students pass beneath the carved eagle at their door, they are reminded of this soaring ideal, that their wit can carry them higher than they imagined. The colors of Ravenclaw, blue and bronze, also carry meaning. Blue represents the sky, the vastness of imagination, the clarity of thought. It is calm but endless, symbolizing the depth of wisdom and the expansiveness of curiosity. Bronze, meanwhile, reflects earthiness and grounding. It is not as ostentatious as gold or silver, but strong, enduring, and practical. Together, blue and bronze remind Ravenclaws to balance imagination with reality, dreams with substance. They symbolize the harmony of lofty thought and steady application, showing that true wisdom must have both. These colors cover the banners in the Great Hall, the ties around their necks, the cushions in their common room. For centuries, they have whispered to Ravenclaws of who they are meant to be, dreamers who do not drift too far, thinkers who still act in the world. The element associated with Ravenclaw is air. It is fitting, for air is invisible yet essential, subtle yet powerful. It cannot be held in one's hand, yet it sustains every life. It carries voices, whispers, and ideas, moving unseen but undeniable. Air reflects the qualities of Ravenclaw thought, intangible but vital, elusive but shaping everything. To be a Ravenclaw is to live in this element, to value the unseen, the abstract, the intellectual currents that flow beneath ordinary life. Just as air surrounds and uplifts, Ravenclaws embrace ideas that seem intangible, but that carry the world forward. The house ghost, the Grey Lady, is another central symbol. As Helena Ravenclaw, she represents the dangers of pride and the consequences of choices. Yet in her quiet guidance, she also represents the possibility of redemption. Ravenclaws learn from her story that wisdom is not only about brilliance but about humility, that cleverness without compassion can lead to ruin. Her silent figure gliding through the tower is a reminder that every Ravenclaw carries both potential and responsibility. Students who whisper to her sometimes hear advice, sometimes only sorrow, but always feel the weight of history pressing on their own paths. The common room door knocker is perhaps the most distinctive symbol of Ravenclaw tradition. Instead of requiring a password like other houses, the Ravenclaw entrance asks riddles. Each student must answer to gain entry, and the questions vary endlessly. Some are logical, others philosophical, others playful. This tradition embodies the heart of Ravenclaw. Intelligence must always be active. Curiosity must always be awake. Even after a long day of classes, a Ravenclaw must summon wit at the threshold of their own home. This ritual, repeated daily, trains minds not only to solve puzzles but to embrace the joy of questioning. The knocker itself, shaped as an eagle, waits patiently, reminding students that wisdom is not given but earned in each moment. The tower itself is symbolic. High above the rest of the castle, the Ravenclaw common room embodies detachment from the bustle of daily life. To reach it, students must climb winding staircases, each step lifting them further from distraction and closer to thought. The tower's height gives perspective, its windows showing the vastness of the world. This physical ascent mirrors the intellectual ascent Ravenclaws strive for, to rise above the ordinary, to glimpse patterns invisible to those on the ground. It is not isolation, but perspective, a place where students can breathe the air of imagination and return to their studies with renewed vision. Traditions within Ravenclaw also shape identity. Unlike other houses, which may emphasize loyalty to the group, Ravenclaw celebrates individuality. Students are encouraged to pursue their own passions, however eccentric. This freedom creates a culture of diversity. One Ravenclaw may be obsessed with magical creatures, another with star charts, another with experimental charms. No two Ravenclaws are alike, yet all are bound by the value of curiosity. This tradition of independence means Ravenclaws sometimes seem aloof or scattered, but it also means they foster innovation. Each student contributes their own unique spark, and together they form a constellation of creativity. At the same time, Ravenclaw traditions encourage debate and discussion. In the common room, students often gather around the fire to argue over theories, spells, or philosophy. These debates are not only tolerated but celebrated. Wit is sharpened in the clash of ideas, and respect is earned through clever argument. This tradition makes Ravenclaw both stimulating and competitive. While Gryffindors bond through daring deeds and Hufflepuffs through loyalty, Ravenclaws bond through conversation, through the joy of ideas bouncing from mind to mind. It is a house where words are as treasured as wands, where the sharpness of a remark can win admiration as surely as the accuracy of a spell. Another important trait is the house's acceptance of eccentricity. Where other houses might mock or dismiss odd behavior, Ravenclaw sees it as a sign of creativity. A student who invents strange charms, who dresses unconventionally, who asks peculiar questions, these are not shunned but respected, sometimes even admired. This acceptance creates a safe haven for those who might feel out of place elsewhere. Luna Lovegood is the most famous example, but many Ravenclaws have carried their oddities into greatness. This tradition reminds students that wisdom often looks strange at first, that the unusual may hold answers others overlook. Finally, Ravenclaw's core trait is a love of learning for its own sake. While Slytherins may learn for ambition, Gryffindors for glory, and Hufflepuffs for community, Ravenclaws learn because they are curious. Knowledge is valued not only as power but as joy. A Ravenclaw might spend hours in the library chasing a question no exam will ask, simply because the mystery is irresistible. This hunger for knowledge defines the house more than any other trait. It is what unites its students across centuries, what connects Rowena to the child struggling with a riddle at the door. To be Ravenclaw is to seek, always, to know more, to dream more, to imagine beyond what is known. Ravenclaw achievements are scattered through magical history like hidden jewels, each one the result of a curious mind refusing to settle for what was already known. While Gryffindors often claim glory in battle and Slytherins in politics, Ravenclaws shine in quieter ways, through discoveries, inventions, and ideas that reshape the wizarding world. Their contributions often begin with a question. What if? What if spells could be more efficient? What if stars influenced magic? What if creatures no one believed in truly existed? These questions, pursued with persistence, gave birth to innovations that continue to ripple through wizarding society. One of the earliest and most enduring Ravenclaw contributions is the development of advanced charms. Scholars credit several Ravenclaw inventors with refining spells still used daily at Hogwarts. For instance, the levitation charm, Wingardium Leviosa, may have existed in rudimentary form before Hogwarts was founded, but it was Ravenclaw ingenuity that standardized it for practical use. The same is true for Lumos and Nox, simple yet profound spells that turned wands into torches and then back into darkness with ease. These contributions embody Ravenclaw pragmatism, small adjustments that transform daily life, built not for glory but for function. Astronomy also flourished under Ravenclaw influence. The house produced generations of witches and wizards who gazed at the stars and sought to understand their magical resonance. Perpetua Fancourt, remembered for creating enchanted telescopes, stands among the most famous. She proved that planetary alignments could enhance certain potions and charms, influencing everything from agriculture to divination. Modern wizarding calendars, filled with notes on auspicious dates for spell work, owe much to her studies. Her achievements show how Ravenclaws looked upward, not just in metaphor but in practice, drawing wisdom from the heavens. In the field of magical healing, Ravenclaws made vital discoveries. Nemone Radford, remembered for developing memory modification charms, provided tools that protected wizarding secrecy for centuries. Though obliviation is ethically debated, it has been crucial in maintaining the statute of secrecy. Beyond her, other Ravenclaw healers devised antidotes for rare poisons and charms to accelerate recovery. Their cleverness saved countless lives, even if their names never reached fame. Healing reflects Ravenclaw's quiet brilliance, the use of intellect, not to conquer, but to preserve, to mend what was broken. The arts and literature also bear Ravenclaw fingerprints. Miranda Gosshawk's Standard Book of Spells became the cornerstone of magical education. Every Hogwarts student, whether Gryffindor or Slytherin, opens her work, guided by her precise, clear explanations. She turned magic from mystery into method, making it accessible to generations. Others followed in her footsteps, writing treatises on magical theory, guides to creatures, even poetry infused with enchantment. Ravenclaw achievements in art prove that intelligence is not confined to equations or incantations, but can flow into beauty and story, shaping culture as much as science. Ravenclaws also push the boundaries of magical law and philosophy. Laverne de Montmorency, remembered for shaping early Wizengamot policies, established traditions of thoughtful debate that endure today. Later Ravenclaws carried forward this legacy, crafting laws about the regulation of magical creatures, the ethical use of charms, and the rights of Muggle-borns. Their work often placed them in conflict with more conservative forces, yet their voices, rooted in reason, slowly shifted society. Ravenclaw achievements in law remind us that wisdom is not only about knowledge, but about how it is applied to create fairness and balance. In magical sport, Ravenclaw contributions are less obvious but still notable. Quidditch strategies were influenced by Ravenclaw captains who introduced formations relying on foresight and cunning rather than brute speed. Ravenclaws valued not only athletic skill but the ability to outthink opponents, turning matches into contests of wit as much as reflex. Some of their playbooks survive in the Hogwarts library, studied not just as sports manuals but as examples of applied strategy. These achievements highlight how Ravenclaws bring intellect even into games, finding joy in cleverness wherever it can be exercised. Ravenclaws also excelled in the study of magical creatures. Though Newt Scamander himself was a Hufflepuff, he often cited Ravenclaw scholars whose observations influenced his work. Some Ravenclaw naturalists focused on creatures thought to be imaginary, recording stories and sightings others dismissed. While skeptics laughed, their writings sometimes proved prophetic. For example, the crumple-horned snorkack, long thought a myth, remains a subject of research inspired by Ravenclaw eccentricity. Their willingness to entertain the unlikely has kept the field of magizoology vibrant, filled with wonder and possibility. Architectural and magical design also carry Ravenclaw signatures. Rowena herself was said to have envisioned Hogwarts' enchanted staircases and ceilings, laying the foundation for a school that was itself a living puzzle. Later, Ravenclaws extended this legacy, designing libraries with self-sorting books and laboratories with self-cleaning cauldrons. Their contributions made learning spaces not only functional but inspiring, filled with enchantments that encouraged discovery. These spaces became achievements in themselves, monuments to the belief that environment shapes the mind. One achievement less celebrated but deeply important is Ravenclaw's contribution to wizarding education outside Hogwarts. Some Ravenclaw alumni became founders of smaller schools or tutors to noble families, spreading magical knowledge to corners of the world. Their teaching emphasized critical thinking and imagination, traits that spread far beyond Scotland's Highlands. Ravenclaw influence, through these teachers, rippled outward, ensuring that their values shaped magical culture on a global scale. Education, as much as invention, became their gift to the world. Even in times of war, Ravenclaw contributions stood out. During both wizarding wars, clever Ravenclaws developed charms for concealment and communication. Secret networks, enchanted objects, and protective spells often bore their touch. They were not always the ones leading charges or dueling Death Eaters head-on, but their inventions kept people safe, allowed information to spread, and ensured resistance could endure. These achievements were often unheralded, hidden in shadows, but vital nonetheless. In this, Ravenclaws showed that brilliance can fight darkness not only with wands, but with wisdom. All these achievements, charms, healing, law, literature, astronomy, creatures, architecture, warcraft, paint a picture of a house whose influence cannot be confined to one field. Ravenclaw contributions are everywhere, woven so seamlessly into daily magical life that they sometimes go unnoticed. Yet every time a student lifts their wand and whispers Lumos, every time a potion is brewed under starlight, every time a law protects the vulnerable, Ravenclaw ingenuity is present. The house's greatest achievement is not one spell or one book, but the constant reminder that intellect, imagination, and curiosity are forces as powerful as bravery or ambition. Their legacy endures not in monuments, but in minds, ever questioning, ever seeking, ever dreaming. Ravenclaw's legacy is most powerfully seen in the way its values outlive individual students. Unlike Slytherin, which often ties its history to ambition and bloodlines, or Gryffindor, remembered for bold deeds. Ravenclaw's gift is quieter. It endures in thought, in creativity, in the countless ideas that ripple forward through generations. Every new spell devised, every breakthrough in magical research, every eccentric who dares to challenge convention, they all carry a trace of Ravenclaw Tower. Its influence is not always recognized, but it is always there, a subtle current running through wizarding culture. To be Ravenclaw is to join a lineage of seekers, to step into a stream of curiosity that never dries. That is the true inheritance Rowena left behind, not treasure, not power, but the encouragement to keep asking questions long after her voice fell silent. One of the most important lessons Ravenclaw offers is the celebration of individuality. Other houses have stronger bonds of unity. Hufflepuffs prize loyalty. Gryffindors thrive in shared bravery. Slytherins unite under ambition. Ravenclaws, however, stand apart even within their own house. This individuality is sometimes lonely, sometimes misunderstood, but it is also freeing. Students learn that their worth does not depend on fitting in but on following their own curiosity. The girl who paints stars on parchment, the boy who tinkers with broken charms, the dreamer who sees creatures others cannot, all are equally Ravenclaw. In a world that often demands conformity, Ravenclaw teaches the courage of difference. That lesson continues to inspire those who feel out of place, showing them that uniqueness is not weakness but a form of strength. Another enduring lesson is humility in the pursuit of wisdom. Ravenclaws are clever, often brilliant, but the Grey Lady's story lingers as a warning. Pride can undo even the brightest mind. Knowledge without humility risks arrogance, and arrogance blinds. Students who walk past Helena Ravenclaw's silent figure are reminded that cleverness is not enough. True wisdom requires openness, patience, and compassion. This balance between brilliance and humility is perhaps the hardest lesson for Ravenclaws, but also the most essential. In a house that prizes wit, it is easy to forget that listening matters as much as speaking, and kindness as much as cleverness. Yet it is in that balance that Ravenclaw wisdom reaches its fullest. Ravenclaw also leaves behind the lesson that eccentricity and wonder are not to be discarded with childhood. Many adults grow cynical, trading imagination for practicality. Ravenclaws resist this trade. They carry childlike curiosity into adulthood, finding magic not only in spells but in stars, in riddles, in laughter. Luna Lovegood is the clearest example, mocked for her odd beliefs, yet she proves again and again that her openness to wonder is her greatest strength. Ravenclaw's legacy reminds the world that imagination is as vital as knowledge, that the capacity to marvel keeps hearts and minds alive. It teaches that wisdom without wonder becomes dry, while wonder without wisdom becomes naive. But together they form the fullest kind of understanding. Finally, Ravenclaw's lasting lesson is that courage comes in many forms. Gryffindors may fight boldly, Slytherins may endure cunningly, Hufflepuffs may stand steadfast, but Ravenclaws show that there is courage in thought itself, to question what others accept, to believe in what others dismiss, to chase knowledge even when mocked. These acts are not loud, but they are brave. Ravenclaw courage is the courage of the thinker, the dreamer, the creator. It whispers rather than roars, but it endures, shaping the world in ways as profound as any battle. That is why Ravenclaw's story continues to matter. It reminds us that being clever is not about superiority but about possibility, not about knowing everything but about daring to learn again and again. no matter the cost.